What is happening, guys? Mike here. Welcome back to the channel for the first product review of 2020. And to kick this year off in a big way, I got a pomade review for you made by a barber from Arizona. This is my review of the Blessed Hands pomade. Alright, so once again, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for joining me here. If you're new to the channel, I especially want to thank you for joining me here today, and I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel for more reviews just like the one that you're seeing here, the one you're about to see here anyway. I really hope that you'll consider subscribing. That's a huge help to me. Thank you very much in advance for doing that. Today though, like I said, we are looking at the Barbermade brand and pomade from Blessed Hands, and like I said, this is a brand from Arizona, and while they are a new homebrewing outfit, they are not a new business. Technically, the barber side anyway is not new. They currently operate a very well-known barbershop in Cottonwood, Arizona called Elevated Touch, and it was there inside that shop, according to Alan, the owner of the brand, that the need for a product like this came about. And really, this is actually what I love about barber-owned brands. See, they are in the chair every day giving haircuts, seeing people, seeing what works and what doesn't work, and sooner or later they start finding little holes in things, like I wish this product had this, or this problem with somebody's hair could be solved if only we had a product that did this. And then sooner or later they come out with products that fill those gaps and fill those holes, and that's really what interests me whenever I do these reviews. I really like to see what holes they fill and what needs they serve, and so that's what we're going to take a look here today. We're going to put this through the paces. We're going to see what this pomade can bring to the table, and as usual, all of that starts with a closer look at the product. According to the brand, once again, the Blessed Hands water-based pomade is an orthodox water-based or gel-type style pomade, and within it lies a strong hold, healthy shine, and easy washability. They also claim it to be more versatile than other gel-type pomades, and we will discuss that in a minute. This is something very interesting for sure. But scent-wise, we do got a standard cologne-style scent, and this one has a pretty good price in my opinion at $12.99 for 4 ounces. Looking inside the jar here, we got a pretty standard gel type, or what I would consider standard, meaning it's typical of what we usually see with pomades of this type. There's really nothing new here compared to other gel type pomades that we've looked at in past reviews, but when you do scoop it out and break it down, surprisingly it has less stickiness and tack than others that we've looked at in previous videos. Instead, this one here has more slickness and an overall smoother feel. Now, a second ago, I mentioned that this brand reports this pomade to have a more versatile ability than usual. Now, this caught my eye because generally with gel types or pomades of this type, there's a usual way that I use them and that I see them use. There's usually not much surprise there. I mean, it's typical slick hairstyles, the slickback, contours, side parts, pompadours, things like that, really clean cut styles. But if you look at their website and then even their Amazon listing, they describe a lot of different styles here, and most of them are what I said, of course, but they also mention curls, frohawks, mullets, undercuts, and of course, I'm not messing around with no mullet, but it definitely made me wonder what else one could do with this pomade. Could it actually work on dry hair, for example? I mean, you guys know that I love dry hair. I love dry hair styling. I use pretty much everything but 2 kinds of products in dry hair, and those 2 kinds of products are gel types and petro pomades, oil-based pomades. So everything else goes in dry hair. So this kind of made me wonder, I typically use these on towel dried hair, but would it work in dry hair? If so, what would it produce? This kind of just made me curious, and it made me even more curious after I did this first test with damp hair. This one came out in such a way that kind of made me even more curious about the dry hair test. But first, let me show you this damp hair test so I can give you guys a more look at the more traditional use of this product. Here we are now with our towel dried or damp hair, and I can tell you the big difference that I see here, it again has to do with that slickness that we talked about in the breakdown. It's got that slickness over stickiness going for it, and to me this just screams Barbermade. pomade, because I can just picture them using this in their barber chairs, you know, 2 easy scoops. It just glides through the hair, you know, it's just quick, it's easy. To me, this just really screams barbershop. And on that same note, it was not only easy to apply, it was super easy to style. I mean, once this pomade is in the hair, like here we have 2 scoops in it, for example, it seems like it's done just after a couple passes with the comb. It's just extremely quick, it's extremely easy. But I didn't want to just leave it there. I kind of wanted to see what else we could do with it at this stage. So I added in 1 more scoop and then proceeded to just continue to comb it and style it and just see what else we could do with it. But as far as styling goes and getting something that I thought looked good in my hair, I have to say this was one of the easiest styling sessions I've ever had with a pomade of this type. Now let's get a look at the same style 4 hours in, and here of course we get a look at our hardening, and I'd rate that pretty much as normal, no less, no more than what I usually get with a gel type. I also think the finish has lightened up a bit too, which is nice and a little bit different, but it's obviously having some struggles there that I need to address. You can see it a little bit there on the back. It's just struggling to keep my hair in place. It's not terrible, but obviously I can't ignore it. Moving over to 8 hours in now, we can see that I think it looks pretty much the same. I mean, that finish is right around the same, maybe even more closer to natural than it was at 4 hours. I do think I still have a little bit of that same struggle there going on too, where my hair it's just heavy in those back corners, and I think for some reason it's just struggling to hold it there, keep it in place, and not allow it to fall. That is actually something that happens to me a lot, so it's not anything new for me to have it fall like that. It's always here and it's always here, so that's just something that I usually see. And you know, one could remedy that with a little bit of hairspray, but I don't usually do that when I'm doing demos, because if I added hairspray, then it wouldn't be fair, you know, to judge the strength of the actual product if I went ahead and added something like a hairspray or a spray like Sidekick or something like that. So I just wanted to see how this would perform by itself, and honestly I think I was super pleased with that test, and I'll touch more on that in my final thoughts. But of course, before we get to that, I want to show you the results of that dry hair test that I briefly touched on. I just couldn't help myself here. I had to try it. I was so curious. I wanted to just see how it was because it was so light. I mean, I seriously have never seen a gel type that is that lightweight and that slick. I just really couldn't help myself here. I just felt like this was so lightweight. It's just way different than what I usually see with gel types, so I just really wanted to see what it would do in dry hair, and here's what I saw. For me, this was actually quite surprising. It looks pretty much like an unorthodox water-based pomade here with just a bit more shine and gleam. This pomade is so lightweight, like I said, I'm actually able to add it into fully blow-dried hair and have it utilize my natural volume and produce my preferred hairstyle with no problem. There wasn't a ton of tug and pull. It wasn't, you know, overly terrible. It was actually quite easy. It went in very easily, in fact. And I thought this was just something really cool to see with a product of this type. And this was 2 scoops actually too. So I was able to add that in there and quickly produce this look. Now, when it comes to the hardening in the dry hair test, since there was no water in my hair, it was fully blow dried, the hardening was actually very minimal too. So that was a nice change of pace for me. But now though, let's move into the washout and scent, and then of course we'll go into my final thoughts. The washout is super easy to explain. Just water as usual. For a product of this type, water is pretty much the norm. So that's all that I saw here, completely rinsed out with water, no issue at all. That's pretty much it. Super easy to explain. When we talk about the scent though, it's a very fresh, I'd call it a fresh, typical cologne style scent, something very similar to what we see with Suavecito in my opinion. I don't really know what it is. I haven't seen, unless I missed it, I haven't seen it actually listed anywhere, but for sure I think it's not super strong, it's not super intense, it's a bit lighter, more user friendly I think, but I would classify it as a cologne style scent for sure. In the end now, what I think, bringing it all together here, what I think about this product here, this water-based pomade, I think what we have is something quite good. It's a new take on the standard gel type, and I really like that because the past few gel types that we've looked at have been kind of a new take on it. I feel like gel types for such a long time just stayed exactly the same. They stayed just, you know, pretty much the same, and alls we had to look out for was ones that hardened up too much and ones that lost their hold super fast. You know, those were the only 2 real issues that we had with gel types because they all stayed the same for so long. Now though, we're starting to see different takes on them, you know, all types of different things, and I think it's just really cool that things are changing. And I think that this one was cool because usually what we see with gel types, people that want to change them up, is they make them stronger, they make them more intense, they make them really sticky and tacky, and they kind of, I mean, I don't know if they actually set out to do this, I didn't talk to them or anything, but just based on using it, my impression of it was that they went the other way. You know, they went for lighter weight, easier to apply, less sticky, you know, more slick. And I think through that change, they made a more versatile gel type. You know, I'm not saying that you could use it to get, you know, like a textured quiff or something like that, even though I think I could see a little bit of texture in that dry hair test. I mean, go back and look at it. There's a little bit there, but you're not going to get the same effect as like a matte paste or a clay. I'm not trying to say that at all. But as a reviewer that has seen countless gel types, it's nice to see one that's different and not just the same old thing. As far as criticism goes though, I would have to say hold was a very small issue. As we saw in that demo during the endurance test, it had trouble holding my hair in the heavy parts. And again, that's something I have a problem with a lot of products, but there's a lot of products that don't have that issue as well. So that was something I wanted to note and report. I also think volume was a bit low. You know, honestly, it was a little bit hard to achieve that volume in the damp hair because the stickiness wasn't, you know, it wasn't up high enough to actually take the hair and stack it on top of each other to actually build that volume. Unless you do it in dry hair, of course. When you're in dry hair, then it utilizes your hair's natural volume. But on damp hair, you know, that volume was just super low. And then when it comes to that dry hair, what I did notice soon after, you know, I filmed the demo, I was looking at it throughout the day so I could gauge the dryness and the hardening and things like that. And what I noticed is I'm a habitual you know, I mess with it all the time. I'm a habitual messer. I don't know what you want to call it. And what I noticed when I would mess with it was that the product, like the stickiness, would come off onto my hands. Like the product was coming out of my hair and onto my hands. You can actually like feel some stickiness, and then my hair would start to fall. So it was like it was coming out of my hair and onto my hands, and then, you know, leaving my hair. So that was just a little dry hair issue that I wanted to note. That obviously did not happen during the damp hair test. So I think that was just a little thing with the dry hair. Other than that, again, I really like the fact that it's lightweight in both damp hair and dry hair. I like the fact that you can style it quickly, you can style easily with it, and again, it is pretty versatile. Based on my testing, it's my opinion that this would work really well for thin, fine, straight-haired folks. You will most likely get a stronger hold than I did too, you folks with those hair types. Folks with thick hair, like me, I think you will have a similar experience as I did. I think it was overall pretty good. I think it'll serve you as well. If you're somebody that, you know, needs a ton of hold, you know, you'd like those gel types that are just extreme hold. Obviously, this probably wouldn't fit the bill, but I think for other folks that don't need that, this is a pretty good one. It's a pretty interesting one. It's actually really cool to me because, again, it's something different. It makes things new. It makes things exciting, and that's something I personally appreciate and something that I think you guys might appreciate as well. If you would like to check out the Blessed Hands pomade, links will be, of course, down below like they always are. I will have their shop online with a link there, and they are on Amazon Prime too. I wanted to make sure to mention that. They're on Amazon Prime, and it's a really good deal in my opinion. It's $12.99 for 4 ounces and Prime shipping. So, I mean, that's a killer deal for this pomade. So, links will be down there if you'd like to check this one out. But I believe that does it for this review here. Thanks so much for joining me for this review. If you enjoyed what you saw here today and you want to see more, tap that subscribe button there. Thank you once again for doing that in advance. It's a huge help to me this year as we try to grow the channel. Make sure you also drop me a like and a comment down below. That's also much appreciated by me. I really love engaging with all of you people. That is it though for the first review of 2020. I hope this year is an awesome one for all of you guys and for the channel, of course. And I am ready to hit things hard here. I mean, I got a lot of cool stuff planned. So make sure you not only subscribe, but you have your notifications turned on so you can be notified when all this awesome content gets uploaded. And I'll have a lot of cool stuff coming out in a very short time. So I will be back with you guys again right here very soon. And until then, you take it easy. I'll see you next time.